Call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone to the August the 4th Caswell County Board of Commissioners meeting. If you would, join me in a moment of silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, looking at item 4 under the consent agenda, are there any corrections or additions to our meeting on the 21st, the minutes? Mr. Claggett?
It's been brought to my attention that there are missing public applications for board appointments in the agenda, and once again, the meeting minutes are inaccurate as the adjournment information from our last meeting has been omitted.
The adjournment, I don't believe your microphone's on, Mr. Claggett. Now.
Yeah, the adjournment information from our last meeting has been omitted.
Okay, if that could be corrected, Mr. County Manager, any other corrections or additions?
Did you hear my first part?
No, sir.
It's been brought to my attention that there are missing public applications for board appointments in the agenda, and once again.
All right.
I would say I'm not aware of any that are missing. I have at least one scheduled for the next meeting. And in reference to the adjournment information, I'm not clear what is missing there. There is a line about the motion, who seconded, and that carried.
I believe it's in the last sentence.
I do see there's a time missing. Okay, we can correct that.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Any other corrections or additions? If not, do I have a motion that we approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second from Commissioner Ingram. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Carries. Announcements and recognitions. I'm gonna start with Mr. Whitaker first on the town's water issues. If you would.
This is really an update for the community. So since the last tropical storm passed through, everyone has noticed the town of Yanceyville's water supply, the muddiness, and that has been tested according to them twice a week. And their determination each time has been that that water, while it doesn't look very appealing, is safe to drink. But it has caused concerns, and that situation elevated, I would say, earlier last week with some of their filtration of the water that comes from Farmer Lake. And in response to that, the town invoked, in essence, a amendment, a portion of a contract that the county has with the city of Danville to provide emergency water. This was an amendment that was done many years ago to that water and sewer agreement that has never been used, to my understanding. And so the town of Yanceyville, spent some time last week making sure they had the appropriate permitting and approvals, and their engineers were very involved with activating that line, testing that line, and that water supply first came online, at least in the testing phase, last Friday, I believe it was. They were testing on Thursday. And with all that said, currently, the water is being provided through this emergency line that the county owns by the city of Danville. And the town of Yanceyville had a meeting last Thursday, and one of the outcomes of that meeting was they had sent a letter to the county explaining, really acknowledging the problem, explaining that they were pursuing the use of this county-owned line for emergency water. And also it was a letter assuring the county that they would reimburse the county for the expense of that water. And so we have that in a formal letter, and I presented that to the board today. And really the purpose of bringing it up at this point is for the public's benefit and knowledge. If you've noticed that water looking clear, and also to see if the board wishes to discuss it any further. Because what the letter basically asked for, in addition to what I described, was just for that allocation of water. And it's up to 350 gallons per minute. That's a lot of water. And from a strict reading of the amendment with Danville to that agreement, there is no requirement that they have a specific board approval from the county. But with that said, they did want to make everything very clear. We appreciate that letter from them, and we just open it up to any discussion that you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. Any questions, gentlemen?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Rose?
Russell, what is your recommendation? Is this letter suffice everything, or do we need to do
Well,
anything else?
Commissioner Rose, I believe the letter is a good start, but I did want to discuss this further in closed session tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? We're going to talk about it in closed session. I won't ask for a consensus at the moment. We'll wait until closed session and tackle that issue then.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. We'll go through the board members now for announcements and recognitions. Commissioner Claggett?
Yeah, I'd like to recognize our maintenance director, Mr. R.D. Hayes, for his continued professionalism, his no-nonsense work ethic, and his problem-solving ability when the chips are down. He's a true asset to Caswell County.
Thank you. Commissioner Ingram? Commissioner Rose?
Nothing.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes, sir. One thing, I just want to announce that Rockingham County Commissioner Mark Richardson has been selected as the district representative at the upcoming NCACC tournament.
Commissioner Totten?
Yeah, I would like to just say that down in Milton, that the director of the Thomas Day Museum is doing a great job, Deja Noble, with outreach and bringing awareness to the Thomas Day and what that's all about, and educating the community and reaching out to create partnerships.
Thank you. Commissioner Holt? All right, public comments.
And we have none that signed up unless somebody wants to at the last minute.
All right. Moving on down to presentation items. Mr. Whitaker, Vaya Health Services update.
Yes, Ms. Kara Donner is here at the podium, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Good evening. I haven't met all of you, but I look forward to meeting you. I'm Kara Donner. I'm the Community Relations Director for Vaya Health. I serve Caswell, Chatham, Alamance, Rockingham, and Stokes counties. Vaya, for those of you who are new, Vaya is one of the state managed care organizations. We manage Medicaid for the state for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, substance use disorders, and for a short time, foster care. So lots going on in those spaces, as you can imagine. We typically give an update quarterly in our counties, just to let you know about your members that we're serving, any issues, any developments. We really love Caswell County, and we've really enjoyed helping bring resources to the county. You'll see in these slides, I just want to give you some quick updates. I won't bore you with all of these facts, I promise. But you can see the members in these slides. You can see who is using these services. It's a pretty good mix. So not too long ago, the state decided that they wanted healthcare to be a whole person care. And so Vaya typically just served people with disabilities. And then, for example, like a Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, they served people with just physical. So what we've done is we've combined it. So we now provide physical and mental health services. We still have the most acute members. So Blue Cross might take care of someone who has anxiety. We would take care of someone with bipolar disorder or someone who is disabled and not able to work at home, for example. So just wanted to give you that clarification on the tailored plan. We can go to the next slide. So I wanted to just show you the behavioral health utilization. You can see down on these in the bottom part of this page. Peer support is one of our most important services. So that's someone who has had lived experience, whether that's in substance use or a mental health issue, someone to help a person along the way and show them that they can get help and overcome certain struggles. But you can see most of what we do is outpatient therapy, which is great, which is someone not staying for services. RHA is the biggest provider in your county, but you can see on the right side that people do travel to other facilities within the state. You can see physical health, like I mentioned in the next slide. Sorry. Oh, it's up there. All right. You can see these are your members that were served. You can see on the right-hand side, people that were served in the hospital. And we mostly serve adults. We also serve children, of course. You can go to the next slide. And so this is great to report. So this doesn't mean that children aren't in DSS. This just means that children aren't sitting in a DSS office. That's one of the challenges of the state, is that there are not enough foster homes for children. So, it's very sad, as I'm sure you can imagine, people will just drop off kids at a DSS office because they are having trouble parenting or in a difficult situation. And many times they could sit there for a long time. So we do have that struggle in counties. The next slide, we can talk about the emergency department admissions. Yep, I'm on the right one. You can see over the last year, all of the admissions to the emergency department. And that could be many different hospitals, not just one. Go to the next slide. So I wanted to touch base on this. So this is something that we helped bring to the county a couple of years ago. RHA has a behavioral health office not too far from here, but I just wanted everyone to know that you don't have to have Medicaid to receive services at this location. And I also wanted to include the phone number, and I'll just say that out loud, 336-694-1175. And they're open Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 3. But anyone can go in to get services, whether you're having a substance abuse crisis or a mental health crisis. It doesn't matter what age. So if you're dealing with a teen who you can't control and you want to get them some help, take them there because they can really align care. It's so much better to go to a place like this instead of taking them to the emergency room, because many times what we found in emergency rooms, they don't have the providers with the expertise. So kids or adults can just sit there for a long period of time. And they do take Medicaid, but if people don't have insurance, they'll let them pay on a sliding scale. So that's great to know too. You can see in the next slide who has been served. So those numbers are pretty low. That's why I wanted to tell you about it because I think people probably aren't aware that it's there. Go to the next slide. Mobile crisis is another amazing service. This is statewide, and you can see it provides services on site for kids and adults, from disabilities to addiction. And we have a team that will go to schools, wherever you are in the community. If someone is having a crisis, this is another thing we want people to utilize instead of taking someone to the emergency room. Many times they could take them to our walk-in center or even the Alamance Behavioral Health Center. That's a new center that opened in Alamance County in Burlington. But they allow anyone to come be served. It's not just for people in Alamance County. And the great thing about those centers is they can really triage a crisis. If someone has hurt themselves physically, many times they can take care of it there, get them peer support services, counseling, shower, a lot of services there. So just know that that's not too far from you if someone needs to use it. And I will read that hotline out. It's 1-844-709-4097. The mobile crisis line, by law, they are supposed to get to someone within 2 hours, but many times it's faster than that. So just be aware that that's a great service here. So the next slide, you can see, I would say that is being underutilized in the county. Again, a mom or dad could use it if they are dealing with an adolescent that's out of control or dealing with substances. I know we've been briefed on a lot of issues with these vape centers popping up all over the state. They are selling a lot of THC. An 8-year-old could walk in and buy it. Alcohol law enforcement and tobacco, they are really struggling because it's so expensive to test substances that are in those facilities. And so for example, if they find that THC is in one of the vapes, they can only get rid of one flavor. They can't get rid of anything else. So they're selling flowers there at these shops. They will tell them to put them on their hoods of their cars, and in 30 minutes, it'll be as potent as marijuana. So just something to be aware of. Vaya has a lot of different services. So we have something called System of Care. We're in the schools. But if you see a need for us to come and, have an event, we try to be at a lot of community events. I think we're going to be at the National Night Out coming up, but we're here as a resource. So we know there's a lot going on in these spaces. I think these are just some statistics on behavioral health services. So you can see on the top, it's mental health, and then SU is substance abuse. So again, those are pretty low to me on what could be going on in the county. And there's one more thing I wanted to talk about. So there's something called the innovations waiver. It's for people who want to try and stay at home instead of live in an institution. And so the state can pay a family to take care of a family member up to $130,000 a year. And I know that it's a lot of money, but to have them institutionalized is probably triple that cost. So there is a wait list. It could be 12 years to get on it, but once you do, it's for their lifetime. So that's just something for parents to know of kids. It really is a great service to help them live independently. They could live in a monitored tiny home, for example. Some people live around the state like that, and it's a great thing. So if anyone has questions about that, let me know. And if you think of other questions, I will be at the commissioners conference coming up at the end of the month. So happy to talk there if you want that opportunity. So I'm happy to answer any questions if you all have any.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, item 8, the Caswell County Tourism Development Authority annual report.
Greetings to you and good evening. I am Angela Upchurch. I happen to be the mayor of Milton, but I also currently represent Milton on the Caswell County Tourism Development Board due to my role with Milton Renaissance Foundation, which operates the Museum of Milton, which as a byproduct of its mission increases tourism in the town. Our board meets the second Thursday of each month at 10 a.m. The public is welcome at the Yanceyville Municipal Building. Also in attendance from our board is board member Rebecca Page and staff person Amanda Hodges. And as you've already said, I'm here to present the annual report, and Mr. Whitaker has it on the screen there, but Amanda Hodges also has hard copies if any of you would like those. By presenting to you our annual report, we are meeting the requirements to regularly present to the Caswell County Board of Commissioners. Each year, we extend a hearty appreciation for the resolution to allow the TDA to receive the 3% occupancy tax that is added to overnight stays here in Caswell County, whether through hotels or short-term rentals. The mission of the TDA is to further the development and travel in our county through advertising and promotion. The report reflects how our board is accomplishing this mission. And in the summary, you can see social media promotions and advertising were a main focus. The branding was completed the year before, and this past year was spent rotating the businesses in Caswell in online and print advertising. The other way we promote tourism is through a grant program, and 16 grants were awarded this past cycle. And the plan is to continue this. Also listed in the report are specific accomplishments. Under progress, we have Caswell marketing videos, website updates and maintenance, brand development extension, a new rack card for Regional Visitor Center, ongoing social media strategy, trail signs purchase for county installation, Caswell County Finance Department now managing TDA finances for 3% of TDA funds charged. We appreciate that as well. As already mentioned, the state of North Carolina has implemented the Thomas Day State Historic Site, and they are doing well in promoting tourism in the town. Itinerary planning for county assets, representation outside of the county for marketing, ongoing local promotion at events to engage citizens, contracted part-time staff continues, and a strategic plan is in place. I would like to highlight the Uplift program, which is a program under the Department of Commerce, and at no expense, they filmed and produced professional quality video ads spotlighting Caswell County, Yanceyville, and Milton, as well as our farms. These videos were beautifully done, and they are freely available for our use as needed. Also, Uplift hosted 2 free workshops here featuring itinerary building, which is another tool used by the tourism industry. Data has shown that tourists currently desire to experience a destination, and if itineraries are put together for them, they are willing to pay for this experience. If you turn to the second page, you'll see some numbers. Over $19 million were spent in Caswell by tourists. This is an increase by 7.7%. Over 31,000 in grant funds were provided to Caswell small businesses and organizations promoting tourism. And again, 16 small businesses and organizations combined received grants. We have 92 people employed in Caswell and tourism. And while we don't really expect anyone from Australia to show up, but you never know, we are reaching, the website is reaching greatly around the world. People are clicking and checking it out, and you never know when someone will plan to come. For our future plans, the grant program is an effective way to continue to fund tourism expansion by funding businesses and organizations through their tourist attraction program or event or project. Being in a Tier 1 county, these funds are a valuable asset if people come here more often and to spend more money here. Promoting Caswell Farms is a strong focus in the coming year for the TDA. A farm tour is already planned, and save the date promotions have begun, and that date is November 8th. Farm life, or the idea of farm life, is currently attractive, and in an era where farmland is disappearing, Caswell still retains much and greatly an asset that we have. Going hand in hand with promoting our farms is promoting the weekly farmers market, and the TDA intends to continue to do so. Particularly in Milton, people are coming from Hyco, Danville, Alamance, and I've recently seen an increase in tourists from Greensboro and Haw River because I ask them when I see them, where are you from? This proves that people will come if there's something to come to and if they are able to find out about it. Thank you all so much for the opportunity to be here tonight. And if you have any questions, maybe we can answer them.
Any questions, Ms. Upchurch? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe you said Amanda had hard copies.
Yes.
Could you leave a couple of those or give them to the county manager and we'll get them from him, if you don't mind. Thank you. All right, moving on to action items. Item 9 is the Enbridge pipeline contract. Mr. Whitaker.
So we've been talking about this T15 reliability project, as Enbridge refers to it as. And this was on the agenda, of course, at the last meeting in reference to, or maybe it was the meeting before, but to prep us for tonight's action, hopefully on this item. So this relates specifically to access road and easements. And I will acclimate us all there to our county landfill. And we also have this on GIS to show you where these property lines are. But to describe this project, it in essence involves, zoom out just a bit, this pipeline that exists, and it involves an access road that would come in from our landfill entrance that would turn and go down to this pipeline for an access road. And if you're looking at that by property lines, it largely skirts this property line down to this area here. And what we're looking at in reference to what's actually on the agenda, and give me just a second to get there. Excuse me. This is another representation of that access road and the property line that I was showing you before with the existing pipeline down here. And what was proposed for this project related to the easements and the construction of this permanent easement or permanent access road with the permanent easement is a one-time payment by Enbridge to the county. And I do believe we have a representative here, Julia Wright. Okay, and we may need you just to answer questions in a little bit, but the essence of this project would be constructing this access road, and that will involve some temporary construction easements in addition to the permanent easement for that road. And it will also necessitate some improvements that are needed in order to make this road function well for both Enbridge and our solid waste department. So those improvements would involve a large gate at the beginning of this area, and also another secondary smaller gate, and construction of that and getting electrical to them. And with all that said, what is before you for consideration this evening is a proposal or agreed upon negotiated price of $102,420 for that, or for those items. And to break that down, that is broken down as 75,000 for the property and easements related portion, and then a separate 27,420 for the gates. And that is including that 27,420 is including 3,000 for the needed electrical to get electrical access to both of these gates. And that does involve roughly 500 feet to get that access. So I'd be glad to answer any questions. And also Ms. Wright is here if you have questions directly of Enbridge.
Questions, gentlemen?
Yes. Where's the second gate at?
Just so I won't miss it by a little bit, our solid waste director is here.
Second gate,
Is
if you were to start this, the second gate will be right down here.
Is it-
A little bit past that to keep access from going to the closed landfill that the state requires us to keep closed. So it'll be an electronic gate, so if you go through the dumpsters, it will open and close. They need to get access, we can give them access to that part. But it will control that part of the property. So it'll be kind of right in there where the air is.
And
Second gate will actually just be an arm, it won't be a full. The first gate will be a full gate with fencing going into the woods. Two gates, that will just be an arm like you can see at the parking garage, so go up and down and have cable to keep somebody from driving around.
What keeps them from coming in from the pipeline into the
Property.
Yeah.
So when I spoke to them, and she may be able to answer this further, they're going to place a gate at the pipeline for the access road and have it double key lock. We would put a lock on it, and they have one key or one lock they use for the whole pipeline. So we would just lock into each other. So either one of us could unlock the gate and access the property if we needed to. Because that was the first question I asked them when they came to the property, to make sure that they were gonna keep somebody from riding from Falls Road and Fogle coming on our property, so they would place a gate there.
so there would be 3 gates. Enbridge would be paying for this one, and they would be making a payment to us included within that 102,420 that would cover this gate and this gate.
Any more questions? Who's gonna be responsible for upkeep on this road? On the access road? Are we gonna be responsible for the Enbridge?
I would assume they would be, especially when they're in there. That has not been answered once it's, they're not in there every day, but if you're not traveling on it every day, we can keep it, run the tractor through it if we need to work it, but if they're in and out of their building, they're gonna, from the pipeline, they're gonna take care of all the accesses. And they're gonna build the road, we won't have to worry about building a rock in the new road or anything for that part.
But on this, let me see, $27,420 for the gates. They will be, that will be part of the total amount. But the county will be responsible for getting those gates installed, those two, am I correct?
Correct.
And you said that included 3,000 for electrical?
Yes, there's a fair amount of distance there, roughly 500 feet of,
Well, that's the reason I asked, because with the price of electrical wire, the last I've had to buy, I just want to make sure that that's enough to cover the electrical, 3,000.
that is the only part that's estimated on this. We certainly have a quote from a vendor for the 24,420, but that 3,000 is an estimate from our solid waste department.
Okay, all right. Any other questions?
I'll add to that I proposed a motion, if you're interested in moving forward to this, that includes with the understanding that myself and the attorney would coordinate and execute all appropriate documentation.
No more questions, comments? You see there, if you're looking at item 9 in your agenda packet, the suggested motion. Is anyone willing to make that motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'll move to accept the one-time payment of $102,420 from Enbridge that will allow the purpose of access road and easement at the county solid waste facility, along with the necessary improvements as described, with the understanding that the county manager and county attorney will coordinate and execute all appropriate documentation with Enbridge.
I have a motion from Commissioner Rose. I have a second.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Smith. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Okay, item 10, reimbursement resolution on UHF equipment, ambulance chassis replacement remount. Mr. Whitaker.
So this is also a item for action this evening after discussion at the last meeting. We described at the time that this is really a mechanism that will allow, when there is future borrowing, for us to reimburse ourselves from those proceeds. And that will be clear in the next agenda item related to an amendment about our ambulance purchase. But at the last meeting, or since the last meeting, I haven't received any specific questions about this reimbursement resolution, other than just to clarify by email with the board that this is not a loan. And this, again, comes to us as a recommendation from Davenport. That's our financial advisors. And be glad to answer any questions about the resolution itself.
Mr. Plaggett.
I'd like to provide a short timeline, excuse me, which will lead to a few questions. I'd like this recorded verbatim. On December 2nd, 2024, this purchase started out as a non-binding letter of intent. By December 16th, 2024, it had evolved into a contract specifically without a purchase order. On January 6, 2025, a new contract management policy was introduced that would incorporate electronic signatures. And this was approved on January 21st, 2025. Please explain why this $351,000 purchase was not budgeted. Since when is a purchase order not needed for a $351,000 purchase? And please explain how electronic signature is utilized in our purchase policy. How did this happen?
As far as it not being budgeted, I cannot address that other than to say, I believe it ultimately should have been, but my understanding was that the need for the ambulance was presented and the amount was known. And at the time, I'm not sure if there was clarity with the board of what fiscal year that would be delivered in. I have had some indication that the board thought that that would be delivered potentially in a later fiscal year, but for whatever reason, it was not appropriated in the budget. It was, the board made a decision just to provide a letter of intent. Evidently, that letter of intent was sufficient for the vendor to move forward with the production of this vehicle. And it is due to be delivered August the 11th or 12th. And they will be expecting a payment. And in order to make that happen, this budget amendment would need to happen to appropriate those funds.
I believe that the discussion began with a request for an ambulance. The discussion evolved around purchasing maybe a used ambulance. And there was some back and forth, and we came back, and it may have been at that 16th meeting. I was thinking it was in January, but it was 16th. And the board came to a consensus, or a vote rather, to purchase one new ambulance. We wouldn't take on the remount at that time. Letter of intent was given. And I was understanding that we approved it last year, knowing that it would be in the 25-26 budget, that it would be paid for and delivered and paid for in this budget cycle. Now, I'm just like everybody else. I don't know why it wasn't in the budget. Go ahead.
I will say that it's in the budget in terms of the debt service payments on that. It's just the actual purchase, that appropriation is not.
Right.
And we are,
Amounts.
and if you're okay with this, we are getting ahead of it is the next agenda item, the ambulance itself. I was just trying to respond to Commissioner Claggett's question specifically about it.
I don't want to jump ahead. All right, this reimbursement resolution was brought up at our last meeting. And like the county manager said, I believe I asked the board if you had any specific questions or concerns regarding this resolution. Please get with him, and according to him, there's been very little that he's heard from any board members concerning the resolution, which is what we're on now. We're not on the actual ambulance remount and UHF equipment budget amendments, correct?
Right. And just to add also for point of clarification, with this reimbursement resolution, it would still require for these items LGC approval as they're over 50,000 each. And it also still requires that appropriation by the board to make that happen. So the approval of this resolution does not commit the county to a loan, does not commit those funds yet. yet. Think of it as the mechanism to allow that payback from the proceeds.
This is just a way for the county to, if we're to do a loan, to pay itself back with the loan proceeds. You'd be taking the money out of the general fund, and this resolution would allow the funds from the loan to go back into the general fund. I see my finance people back there agreeing, so I must be right on my thinking on this. Okay, okay. All right. Any other questions on the reimbursement resolution? If not, do I have a motion we approve?
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Smith.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Ingram. Any more discussion? Not, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Now, item 11, budget amendment, the ambulance purchase, which I think we've already kind of gotten into.
We've had a good intro to this. So this would be budget amendment number 3. And we've kind of talked about how this came about, and had already reiterated that it still require LGC approval and board approval of the loan. Well, and this is actually the resolution or the budget amendment to appropriate that.
And I believe, Mr. Whitaker, that you had told the vice chair and myself that Davenport has been in contact with the LGC discussing this, and the LGC's good with it, so to speak. Am I right?
Well, they're aware of all the parameters and that 50,000 threshold because we're on the unit assist list. I'll turn and ask Jonna Sharp if there's anything else you need to know about that.
I think in terms of the LGC, what they have shared with Davenport is that they're not going to make the county wait until the 25 audit is complete. But once the 24 audit is done, they will entertain the county coming before the LGC to look at the financings for the ambulance, the vehicles, the UHF, and those items that are intended to be debt funded.
I will ask a clarification because my understanding was that they would not wait until the 24 audit is complete at the end of, hopefully at the end of August instead of the 25.
Correct. Yeah, they're
Okay,
not-
I'm sorry. I thought I missed.
They're not going to make us wait until the 25 audit is done.
Well, and that's what I'm asking. My understanding was, so I talked with them originally several weeks ago before we submitted related to our response related to the 24 audit. And I was told that, or I was advised it would be wise not to request this until, and specifically about the vehicle leases, similar situation, until the 24 audit was done, not the 25. And so I thought the response back to our response about the 24 audit was that they weren't going to make us wait until the 24 audit was done, not the 25.
Well, that would be even better news.
And that's the way I interpret it. Maybe we can check on that, and I have that in my emails, but I believe it is the 24 instead of the 25.
Okay.
I'll verify that for you.
All right. But either way, that ambulance is coming here next week, correct?
Correct, and we need to pay for it.
Yeah,
They're going to want to check.
exactly. All right, gentlemen, you see the budget amendment there for the ambulance. Any more discussions or questions? $351,000 budget amendment.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Scott, how will it impact our cash account? Since we got to reach in the pocket and pay for it now, will that impact our cash to the point where we need to be concerned? Is it sufficient funds there for that?
there should be sufficient, but again, I'll ask Ms. Sharp if she has anything to add to that.
Yeah, we have a very solid fund balance at the moment, so there should be no impact on it.
Correct.
It's true. So we're dipping into our savings to get the 350. And that was what we just approved to be able to do that. I just heard her say after the budget, we can maybe apply for a loan. Why are we going to be borrowing money and have to pay interest on it when our money is, all we're doing is losing the interest on it?
Well, that future loan would be tax exempt. This is one component of that, but
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm just not following this.
If I may, Commissioner Holt, I think while yes, you have the cash, it would be a bigger dip into your fund balance for an asset that's gonna last you for quite a long time, hopefully, 5 years. And that we were looking at that to take some burden off of the budget by doing a short-term finance. The interest rates, who knows what they will be at the time. But any loans will have to come back to the board for approval. And should you at that time prefer to move forward and just use the cash, then you wouldn't have to reimburse yourself. So I think it's looking at paying for a very large asset over time as opposed to taking a big chunk out of your fund balance. I think that was the intention that interim county manager Caswell was looking at.
But the payments have been budgeted, am I correct?
correct.
What was that payment amount for the 25, 26?
How much? 5,600 a month? 1,000 a year. A year, 56,000 a year. But for all of the items that are covered under the reimbursement resolution, all of the debt service for those items is included in the budget.
Okay.
And if you decide to move forward with the other items other than the ambulance, the intent is that we would not proceed with the other items until the financing is available. But I will tell you, you'll have to appropriate the purchase price at that point, but the purchase would be coming from the proceeds of the loan if the loan is approved at that time. It's one of these accounting things that even though the debt service is accounted for, you have to have the dollars to pay for the asset at the time that you purchase the asset. At the time we purchase the other items, you'll have from the loan to pay for them. You just don't have that loan in place for the ambulance at this time.
And that's why we were saying ideally, it should have been budgeted for this budget year, this appropriation.
Okay.
Sure.
Yes, sir. Mr. Rose.
Ms. Sharp, you did say that it was already budgeted 56,000 for this initial payment for this physical budget year.
Debt service is budgeted, yes.
So if you deduct that 56,000 from this 351,083, it's really 295,083. If you take that amount and if you deduct the amount that's already budgeted for that payment, minus that from the initial cost.
You're still gonna have to pay the debt.
Right, but I guess
That appropriation there.
correct, but I guess what I'm saying is we got the initial payment of 56,000 budgeted on the 300,
Yeah, yes,
on the 351,000.
correct.
So if you deduct that 56 from that 351, it's really 295 over and beyond that 56,000, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, but we still need you to purchase to appropriate the full amount of the.
Right, the full amount. Yeah, I totally understand the full. Just saying it's actually going to be less than that and you pull it out.
But we
Right.
still have to do the budget amendment for the full amount.
But-
Because none of that money was budgeted for the ambulance.
And then
Actually.
the loan for the full amount, you actually record the loan proceeds as revenue. You will have already made the expenditure, so that revenue comes in and just replaces fund balance.
Which is the reason for the previous resolution that we passed.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Any other questions, comments?
I got one. If I understand that correctly, the way she said it, at the end, when we reimburse ourselves,
Yeah.
we'll have a loan that we're paying on.
If we decide to do it, if we decide to take a loan.
So that has nothing
That's
to do with
in the
this
future.
vote.
Do what?
That doesn't have anything to do with this vote.
No. This is just a vote to budget the amount to write the check for the ambulance. That's all this is.
Correct.
And the resolution you just passed, should you choose to move forward with financing for it, you can reimburse yourself from the loan proceeds.
If we decide to go that route.
Mhm.
Yes, yes.
Right. Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to approve the budget amendment to purchase the ambulance?
So move.
I have a motion from Commissioner Ingram. Second from Commissioner Rose. All those in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. All right, Mr. Whitaker, the telecommunications, non-general fund departments. Item 12, I believe it is, yeah.
Yes, so this would be budget amendment number 4. And so going back to this current budget, all telecommunication charges were moved from where they had been in departments, individual departments in the past to IT. And that made some sense at a high level, but ultimately there are a couple of departments, public health and social services, that actually get reimbursement for some of their phone expenses. And so this is an accounting need, this particular budget amendment, to reconcile that. And it's no new money involved. And really, it's just a realignment, an accounting realignment to make that happen.
So this is more or less moving money around, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, and because it crosses funds, because public health and social services are in different funds, it requires us to come to you because we can't do budget amendments across funds without board approval.
Okay, all right. Any questions, gentlemen? Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion from Commissioner Rose,
Second.
second from Commissioner Totten. Any discussion? Not all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. All right, item 13, budget amendment number 5, Sheriff's Office Fund 290.
And in a similar way, this involves no new money. It's really an accounting realignment. And this has more to do with certain restricted revenue streams that is in the county special reserve fund. And this is where appropriations are limited to the amount of accumulated funds received. So these funds would carry forward, and the budget amendments needed to increase that appropriation for unspent funds. And that total dollar amount on this one is $149,662.
All right, questions? Commissioners?
What is it for?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that question.
What is this money moved over to? What's it gonna be for?
So I think Ms. Sharp could answer that better than me. Okay.
So the only ones I know that the sheriff potentially has a plan for at this time is to use some of the DEA funds for an item you have coming up for a discussion item for a contract to pay for that contract. But the other amounts, I don't think he has any plan for the ABC profit or the substance abuse, but those dollars are restricted and can only be spent for sheriff's purposes. But these are the amounts that were cumulatively unexpended. This is several years of accumulated funds. But we need to reappropriate them to give the sheriff the authority to spend them when he so chooses.
Any more questions? I have a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
I have a motion from Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second from Commissioner Ingram. Any more discussion or any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Okay, item 14, budget amendment number 6 for the libraries. Mr. Whitaker.
I promise we're going to be done with budget amendments. Again, no new money. This is really another accounting realignment. And this has to do with a restricted donation as part of a will for the purchase of audiobooks. And so far, the funds received have been $67,100, and the libraries have spent $15,805 of that.
Any questions, comments? I have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion from Commissioner Rose,
Second.
second from Commissioner Totten. Any discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right. Item 15, the Animal Protection Society Animal Control Shelter Contract.
Okay, we've been talking about this contract for quite a while. Just to bring everybody up to speed, the county has not had a signed contract in about 20 years for animal shelter services. But with that said, we have maintained a good ongoing relationship with APS for shelter services. And in recent years, that annual allocation was $174,125. And I believe it was last December or thereabouts, APS informed the county that they would no longer be able to provide the same level of animal shelter services for that cost. And there were some discussions this spring with the interim manager, our animal control department, and APS. And out of those discussions, or at least within the budget process, the board budgeted an allocation of $225,000, roughly almost $51,000 more than the previous year's allocation. And with that, started some really in-depth conversations about operations, how animal control and the shelter could work together better to really memorialize agreement and be a shelter agreement and be clear on the terms and some of the issues that have come up in recent years related to animal control, their operations, and how that impacts the animal shelter. And with that said, there's been a lot of negotiation, a lot of time, and a lot of vetting of the proposed contract that you have in your packets. And I'm happy to say after all of that, there's really one point of disagreement remaining, and that's highlighted, and it appears in two places within the proposed draft contract. I'll say that APS, like the county, also has a board that will need to approve this. And this evening, we have an APS board member and attorney Kim Steffen, who is present. If we have any questions, and we also have Dustin from Animal Control here to answer any questions about operations. And Attorney Johnston was very involved in these negotiations also. And we've been through a lot to get to this point. Happy to be here, happy to be close, and would just like to open it up for your discussion and to hopefully work through that one outstanding item.
All right, now's the time for questions, gentlemen. Mr. Clay.
Is there currently a vet on staff at APS?
There is not.
So will adoption fees still be applicable that take care of veterinarian procedures?
And maybe it would be good if Kim came on up to help answer some of these questions that's directly from, and there may be another board member here also, but
Yes. Good evening. I'm Kim Steffen from Prospect Hill, and Dr. Mitch Foster, who many of you know, is also here. He is on the board of APS for many years and is our advisor from a veterinary standpoint. I'm happy to answer questions. I asked Mitch to join me because there may be some questions that are more suitable for a vet to answer than me, but I'm happy to answer those that I can. So in answer to your question, Commissioner, we do not have a vet on staff. Unfortunately, that's only for the larger shelters, like in Greensboro, for instance. They hire a vet that is in-house on staff right there. And they also have medical surgical facilities right there in the shelter. For most smaller shelters like ours, that's just not feasible. So we do not. In terms of adoption fees are frequently either modest, nominal, or waived, and that's just to be able to increase adoptions and get animals into homes and clear out more space in the shelter for more animals, because there's always more coming in. So we try to make adoption, an easy process from a financial standpoint. Adoption, we do require, with very limited exceptions, that animals that are adopted from the shelter be spayed and neutered before they leave the shelter. And that's so that, again, we won't be contributing to pet overpopulation and then have more animals coming into the shelter. So when there is a modest adoption fee charged, yes, that does go to ultimately it goes to, it all works out because we need to pay for the spay neuter from the vets, and the vets that we work with are always very kind, Dr. Foster among them, in giving us a reduced rate. Substantially reduced rate compared to what is normally charged for that procedure. Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. My next question is for the attorney. Would APS putting a vet on retainer be paid for by the taxpayer?
Well, Commissioner Claggett, I believe that is actually one of the issues in the proposed contract between the county and the APS, and that's up for discussion tonight. That will be in the board's discretion, along with, if the APS is agreeable to it.
If I may I help clarify on that question? The only issue that is before you is vet care in one very limited set of circumstances. For instance, animals, once they are admitted to the shelter, Part of our licensing requirement is that we provide veterinary care for animals that are, once they are admitted to the shelter. And that comes out of the, that's an APS responsibility. It comes from the allocation that the county makes toward our services, and also from donations and so on that we get privately. So that's just an operating expense. That's not something we're asking y'all to do anything about differently. Where the issue is something a little bit different, and it's narrower. And that is, there are, fortunately, not real often, but there are circumstances where animal control will unfortunately go to a call where they have to pick up an animal that has been very severely injured. So severely injured that, you know, what we can do at the shelter is ordinary routine first aid types of things. But again, no vets at the shelter. And so we have all agreed that yes, it is inappropriate to bring to the shelter, or animal control to bring to the shelter, an animal that is so severely injured that either it needs to be euthanized or it needs a vet to do things that we can't do. Surgery, setting a broken bone, handling a crush injury, those types of things. So those animals, we all agree, need to go directly to a vet and are not admitted to the shelter. And what APS is requesting as part of the last issue that we're dealing with in the contract is for the county to be agreeable to have the cost for the vets when animal control takes those animals directly to a vet instead of coming to the shelter, that come out of animal control's budget rather than out of the allocation that is for APS that covers vet services once animals have been admitted. Because these are animals that, the ones that are severely injured, by definition, they're going directly to a vet. They've not been admitted to the shelter. So they do not come under that licensing requirement to pay for or to provide for veterinary care for those animals. If those animals are not part of APS's responsibility from a licensing standpoint, it makes sense to me that they would not, similarly, they would not be part of APS's responsibility from a budgeting standpoint, as opposed to animal control funds. Other counties that do not have a vet on staff in their shelter, without exception, that I'm aware of anyway, the system is animal control takes the severely injured animals directly to a vet, and that is provided for in animal control's budget. So we're asking you to do what other counties that are of our size and our resources do, the ones that cannot afford to have an in-house vet. So there's no issue of having a vet on retainer. That's not part of the contract. It's not part of the discussion.
Ms. Devon, last year, do you know how many times y'all had to utilize a vet for these type of issues?
I will get Mitch to help me with that.
I did check with, I mean, I don't think we saw it in my practice, but maybe 2 or 3. And I did check with the shelter manager. She said that to the best of her recollection, maybe it was 4 or 5 for the entire year. Now, Dustin may have better numbers on that. And I really think that the money that we're talking about typically will be minimal. I'll say last year, we probably spent less than $1,000 on emergency procedures. The problem you run into is when the county picks up an animal, you're now legally responsible for that animal for at least a period of 72 hours. So when you pick it up, somebody's got to stabilize it. It doesn't mean you got to fix broken bones, repair this, repair that. It means you have to stabilize it. Now, if in a veterinarian's opinion, that animal is so severely injured that it would be in the best interest and the humane interest of that animal, put it to sleep, then that can be done, obviously at a very minimal cost. And that, I think, is probably what has happened of the animals that were brought in. That's probably what has happened the majority of the time. So it's not a major expense that we're talking about. It could possibly be one, but I would say that, like I said, over the last 40 years that I've been here, it hasn't been a real concern.
I mean, you probably don't know tonight, but do you know out of those 4 or 5 incidents, the total amount of money that would have been attributed to those cases?
I asked the shelter manager today, and I think best she recalls, the majority of those, I want to say 4 of the 5. And I mean, I told her, just kind of give me a ballpark guesstimate. 4 of the 5 were put to sleep. So, I mean, if I had to give you a ballpark figure, I'd say, again, totally less than $1,000.
And just to clarify, we're talking about 2 things in these instances: severely injured, which you mentioned, but also maybe the occasional case where an animal is severely ill.
Yes, but I don't see why the animal control would be picking up a severely ill one. That would be possible, but yes, I mean, anytime you pick something up, if you don't have an owner and it's a quote stray, then like it's legally, somebody's got to stabilize that animal for 72 hours. Because it could be my dog that got picked up. And I'd be really mad if you picked up my dog and just put it to sleep.
Right. And I was just referencing the particular language that's up on the screen where, we give some examples of maybe it's labored breathing, et cetera, but I guess often that comes from severely injured, correct?
Severely, what we were thinking of in the drafting for those that are severely ill is primarily, occasionally, sadly, animal control will need to pick up an animal that is either dehydrated or starved to near death. That's what we're talking about with severely ill.
Any other questions?
I guess one question I would have, who would make the determination if animal control picked up an animal and brought it to the shelter? Who would make that determination if I would accept it, or if you would turn it away and say, well, you need to carry that animal to the vet?
Fortunately, we've built a process for that into the contract, and it is, we all agree that there are certain situations that are just very clear cut, that they need to go to a vet. And we have in the contract a mechanism for what happens when it's not clear cut. And that mechanism is that the animal control and the shelter manager will talk. And if they need to put a call into a vet, which they probably will, Dr. Foster or another vet, to get their input. Here's what we're looking at. What do you think? What should happen? They will do that, and we'll come to a consensus about whether the animal needs to be taken to a vet or left at the shelter.
Any more questions?
Yes.
This would be more, excuse me.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mine says.
Go ahead, Mr. Claggett.
Rabies shots, spaying, neutering, first round of annual shots, initial deworming, heartworm check. Is that all done by a veterinarian?
I'll let Dr. Foster.
Pretty much all. I mean, the spaying and neutering is obviously taken care of at a veterinary facility, but as far as the rabies shot, the other inoculations, the deworming, all of that is, and heartworm testing, all that's carried out by the animal shelter staff.
And that's part of the adoption fees.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Ingram, have you had a question?
Yes, just from what we were talking about, this would be more so in extenuating circumstances, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so not all animals fall into that same category. It'd just be more. Okay, and if we get into that point, more often than none, it's a good chance you may we're gonna put them to sleep. And if you're putting them to sleep, that's probably at the most minimal cost.
Sure. Like I said, those cases typically, I mean, I know of the two that I can think of, you know, the total for the bill was less than $75 an animal.
Thank you.
Right, for routine veterinary care for animals that have been admitted to the shelter, which most commonly affects things like treating worms or treating mange or something like that, infections, eye infections or systemic infections that need antibiotics. Again, those are handled as the expense of that is handled by APS through part of our general funds, which come both from you and from donors.
Mr.
Mr. Foster, let me ask, well, both of you. He picks up a dog with a broke leg. Doesn't know if I have an owner or not. You say you're supposed to have it stabilized for 72 hours. What do you do? Tell me, what's going to happen in that situation?
Well, obviously depends on the severity of the animal at that time. That animal obviously as a minimum would need pain medication. Now that may be something that if the dog is bright and alert, but just not using the leg, could, you know, go to the shelter and probably get pain medication at the shelter. Would not have to have veterinary care. It doesn't have a critical life-threatening injury that needs stabilization.
Any more questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chair.
I'm like Commissioner Rose. My biggest concern is that when an animal's taken to the vet, that we don't just write a blank check, that we have some type of mechanism in place to where we can control the cost.
Sure, and I agree with you. I'm a Caswell County resident and pay taxes just like, so, you know, I try to take that into consideration that, you know, y'all are spending my money as well. But yeah, I agree with you.
And that's true whether the money that you're spending is through the allocation to Animal Protection Society or whether it's part of Animal Control's budget. That concern is the same.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Carter.
So just for clarity, how many is on staff at APS?
There's, I think, around 8 employees right now.
And there's no vet on staff.
Oh, yeah, no,
Okay, so, and when we need veterinarian services, they're outsourced, is that correct?
correct. I mean, that's more on a case-by-case basis.
Right.
And again, you know, I know they don't bring everything to me, but I would say typically, anywhere from 1 to 5 a month. They may ask for, you know, some veterinary care, but like I said, that's all in the APS budget itself. That's not, you know, that's part of that 225,000 that we're asking for.
Does the agreement with Caswell, APS and Caswell County stipulate, and I think it does, you can correct me if I'm wrong, stipulates that we would get a vet on staff?
No, that would probably
I
be,
misread it, I'm sorry.
yeah.
I thought I read something.
That would be a budget buster for y'all because that would be well above 200.
Right.
So
Did- One last,
about how expensive it is to, you know, just to, you know, if you were to employ a vet to
Okay.
be at our shelter. I mean,
one
that's-
last question. The amount of money, the 225,000 rejected, will it be dispersed in increments? I think I read that. I'm not sure. Correct me on that. Will those
That's monthly. It's divided into, I mean, what we have done in the past, the just divided into 12 monthly payments.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
y'all just hold tight just a second. Mr. Manners,
Yes.
depending on what this board does, have you looked at animal control's budget to see if this one issue is feasible without having a budget amendment or without having to add to his budget?
Are you asking if we leave, if we do not add that line that's on the screen, any veterinarian bill is the sole responsibility of APS and shall not be imposed on the county if we've got room to handle those likely situations?
And I guess what I'm saying is if our animal control is, correct me if I'm wrong, if our animal control is the one carrying that animal specifically, picks one up so it's not like there's everything coming into y'all's office. I mean, I'm trying to, just like I guess everybody on this board, trying to get through this one hurdle. But I don't want to see another budget amendment that says, hey, not going to be able to suffice it. We're going to have to add to it. Then I think we're going to have to figure out another route.
Right, without pulling up that departmental budget, I'll ask our director, do you think there's sufficient room if we had to deal with a few such situations as you would normally expect in a given year?
I mean, I think we could. I mean, we have a pretty tight budget. You know, we cut it down pretty much to a shoestring. But again, what we're talking about is not the norm, and the expense could be pretty minimal. You know, so in the span of a physical year, I mean, you could be talking about maybe this happens 2 or 3 times, maybe none.
Right.
So I think just because it's such a small amount, I mean, I don't see a reason that we would have to make an amendment to try to cover it for this year.
Well, whatever the pleasure, Mr. Chairman, of the board is, I would like to see some type of cap put in place.
That, I had that written down. If we could put a cap on the total amount the county would be willing to reimburse for vet services. And I don't know what that number is, but according to what Dr. Foster and Ms. Stephan is saying, it's a very low number, and that's what you're saying, it's a low number. So I can't believe that $1,500, $2,000 wouldn't cover it. But I don't know that. I think if we were to put a cap on it, and, you know, Dr. Foster, I heard you say that, you know, if the animal required a lot of extensive work to stabilize it, I don't think that we need to go into that area with county funds. Stabilize it as best you can for 72 hours, but you're talking about major surgery. I just don't see the county footing that bill. I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but.
How long do you have to keep the dog before you euthanize it?
72 hours is North Carolina requires that if you pick it up, you gotta keep it for at least 72 hours. It gives you as the owner a chance to call and claim your pet.
So what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I had a couple other things. I see in the contract that we're agreeing to pay one-time items, approximately $13,000 for gravel, floor repair, and fencing. Is that some money that we have budgeted? Is that, we're talking about a budget amendment for that?
And can you give me the page you're seeing that on?
See on page 39. County responsibilities. Where we reimburse the APS for those various items, and then we agreed to perform some ongoing maintenance on the facility. I would like to just say what the what type of costs are we projecting there and whether we have monies for that?
And which specific section on that page are you referencing?
County responsibilities, section 3.2.
Three point two.
A, B, A and B.
I think it's B1 through B4.
Mm-hmm.
So 3.2A
Mhm.
references allowing the town to connect to the APS shelter to town sewer by December of this year, including installation of lines, meters, other infrastructure at no cost to APS. And are you asking for specific costs to that?
No, as I understand it, I thought they were connected to the city sewer already.
We are, I think there's been some confusion on that, and we've had some septic problem issues. And I'm not 100% sure why, but we do have two septic tanks before it goes into the discharge pipe that goes to the town line. And those tanks have, for some reason, for the past couple of years, we've had to pump them 2 to 3 times a year. So we were thinking about possibly bypassing those two tanks. I have spoken with the town mayor, and he was gonna look into that and further see whether, you know, what needed to be done, what could be done, what should be done. But I think that is something that, like I said, we are exploring at this point. But we are connected to the town sewer.
Yeah, I think I signed an easement a couple of years ago to where they could run that sewer line and tie into the Vaya Road line. So, you know, it's my thoughts it was being used presently.
Yes.
Okay, but that's really not a cost item, Scott. I'm looking at B1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Where we're agreeing to reimburse them for some monies that they expend.
As I'm looking at that closer, I thought this was part that we had removed during the negotiations early on.
That's been in there the whole time. When it came back from you the first time, those were in, and we were very appreciative. I indicated that when I replied back to you with our proposed changes, that we were very appreciative of that assistance with the facility. Because as the commission may or may not be aware, our facility has to be licensed by the North Carolina Department of Agriculture. And if we don't pass our license inspection for the facility, we can't be open. That's a problem for APS, and it's a problem for you. And there are some facilities needs there because the facility was built in the 1990s and it is more than showing its age. So these are some things that we need to have help with from a facility standpoint to be able to keep our inspection for the facility in good standing.
Mr. Booth. My understanding is that we donated the land for that place. Am I correct? Or do y'all back that far back? This is what I've been told. So I guess the other thing is y'all built the building. Y'all are going to be a contractor. Why are we keeping up the building now if you own it?
Most of well, you're not upkeeping the building, quote unquote. Most of the maintenance and repair expenses we bear for sure. These are some that have come up specifically related to our inspection. There are some maintenance issues that don't necessarily have to do with our inspection, but just like certain repair things have to happen at your home, for instance, to keep it functioning, even though there's no inspection of your home. Same thing is true at the shelter. And so, you know, we fund those, of course, and then we also have these that are particularly related to our inspection where we have a particular need for that. And those are maintenance issues that have been deferred for a number of years. They've been put off because we have not had the funds. We had been drawing down on our reserves because the funding from the county had not kept pace with the cost of running the shelter, even when put with donations and grants that we try to maximize as best we are able. We work really hard to be able to get those additional funds. But we were drawing down our reserves like crazy because we just did not have the funds coming in to be able to support the increased cost, particularly of things like inflation with payroll. That was the biggest budget buster for us. And that's got to be paid. And if that means you have to defer maintenance issues, you have to defer maintenance issues. And that's the situation that APS had to be in, because we didn't have those reserves as we were drawing them down, to keep the operating going, to be able to fund all of the facilities' needs. So those are the ones that are remaining and that are particularly related to the license.
I feel like that's gonna be an open-ended check once we start doing that.
Mr. County Manager, since several board members have some concerns with some of the language, and there's been some talk on a cap on the amount for the vet services, I believe we better work on this one a little more. Good.
Would you be able to provide some direction on the highlighted item that appears in two places in reference to what I have on screen?
As far as where it says any vet bill is sole responsibility of APS, it shall not be imposed on the county. I think the consensus of the board is the county will be willing to cover a capped amount that comes out of animal control's budget, but it's not going to be open-ended. It'll be, just pull a number right there, $1,500. Am I thinking along the right lines, gentlemen?
I think you're right.
Y'all tell me.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
But Mr. Smith has brought up these items under 3.2B, 1 through 4 and 5. There seems to be some confusion as to whether it's supposed to be there, whether it's not supposed to be there. So we need to get this stuff hashed out. It's going to be too many amendments, changes to approve it tonight, I'm afraid.
Well, and let me speak to this 3.A and B, 3.2A and B. I will take responsibility for that oversight. We certainly discussed this early on, then we got focused on a lot of other changes throughout this draft, and I thought we had addressed this differently than I'm seeing is what I've presented to you. I would love a little more direction on those items, because as it's written, these are items that the county would be agreeing to pay for in addition to that allocation of 225.
Since it's not county property and not a county building, I don't think that we need to have the maintenance department out there doing paint on non-county property. I know it's the APS that's going to provide the paint, but I don't see that happening. $1,000 for delivery, spreading of gravel. Again, and I keep it all going back to the same place for me. I know that the county provides APS. We appropriated $225 for them this year. But when we go to saying, well, we're going to give you X amount of dollars to do this on your property and X amount of dollars to do this on your property, taxpayers sometimes get a sour taste in their mouth about it.
When,
Understood.
If I may offer, when the revisions came back from the county and those sections were left in, of which we were very appreciative and thought that was very helpful. To me, that did not seem surprising, that approach, in that for a number of years, when we haven't had a contract, but there's just been a budget allocation for APS as a nonprofit, it has not been unusual when the county was uneasy to go above whatever level of funding was determined for that year, that they have sometimes added, said, okay, we can only give you this much as for, for a yearly allocation, but as a one-time thing, we can approve X amount of dollars for a particular need. And we've had a number of those over the years. And so from a budgeting standpoint, that has been pretty common. So it did not stand out to me as being odd that was left in the contract, because that's what's happened on a number of occasions before.
I will say, I think in the past, and this was without having a contract, but just having that ongoing relationship, I believe our maintenance department has offered some assistance because they've had some expertise that shelter staff did not have. And I think that's where some of those offers of assistance probably came from. And again, I think that highlights the need for a contract. It's been kind of muddy in the past, but understood that you're not wanting those services in addition to the 225 allocation.
And we
We
very much
increased funding by 27 or 28% above what we budgeted the previous year. And now you're trying to tack another, right at 13,000 on it. I just don't see it. I just don't. Sorry.
Mr. County Attorney. Mr. Manager, I'm sorry. I do agree with Mr. Smith. If you go back 3.2 ABC down the line, there's some things in 3.2.8. It says the county shall arrange with the town of Yanceville to connect the APS shelter to the sewer no later than December the 31st, 2025, including installation of all lines, meters, any infrastructure equipment needed for the connection at no cost to APS. That to me is one, I can't tell the town what to do. The town can't tell us what to do. And that's, we don't know what that cost would be. And within the contract, we're on a deadline. So if you went past that, you see what I'm saying? I think 3.2, that whole section needs to have a hard look at it. Just my opinion. Thank you.
The city would own the sewer at the street. So the connection made there is all they're deemed to do. Any construction site, that's the way it's gonna be. So, I don't know where the street exactly would be because the DMV, if it brings you over there closer, but I doubt it's gonna go all to these tanks. So, yeah.
If I could maybe add a little clarification on that. Like I said, when this contract was originally proposed and started working on, as Mr. Whitaker said, it was started months and months ago. And at the time, we were having some really bad sewer issues. And so that was initially put in there because we thought, we weren't even aware that we had a direct hookup, to the sewer. So like I said, after some further investigation, I think that at this point, the board would probably be willing to, strike that out of the contract because, I don't think that, like I said, I think that is something that I'm not going to say we wouldn't have to come back to the county commissioners for some help on in the future. But I think at this point, that one is probably something, it's a work in progress. So, and in regards to the county helping, paint or with maintenance issues, And I understand that, well, it is a quote, private building. But the whole purpose of that building is to provide care for the county animals. So anything that the county can help us do to keep the costs down keeps us from coming back next year and saying, I need a budget request for this. I need a budget request for that. I mean, I think it would be really a good judicious use of the county, resources to help out with that situation when you consider that ultimately, if you don't, somebody's got to pay for it. And that somebody's either going to be the Animal Protection Society coming back saying, I don't have the money to do this. I mean, simple maintenance things that, the county could possibly help us with is sort of what we're looking for. We're not looking for, the county to take over the operation of the shelter and maintain it. But if there's some guidance and some suggestions that they can do, if they've got some personnel that could, we could help, do this, or we could help do that, then I think that would make it a lot cheaper for the county as a whole.
What's the pleasure of the board? We need to wrap this one up. Do we send it back for further work? Or do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to send it back.
Mr. Holt made a motion. We send this back for further review. In fact, I don't know that we need a motion, Mr. Holt. Just a consensus of the board. Is that a consensus? Am I hearing that correctly?
Are we looking at a deadline to make a decision?
Yes. I mean, we need a firm contract in place and we need to have funding. Again, I can't speak for the rest of the board, but I think that if there was some way that we could strike out number one, but the sewer. And if you could make a one-time allocation of, let's just say $10,000 to cover these other expenses, then we could be done and over with and everybody could go about and do their work. Like the things that we're asking for are things that were brought up by the Animal Welfare Board that oversees and says, these are things that you've got to do and have done. So, and like I said, the funding, I know, and we really greatly appreciate it. And again, I know you're spending everybody's hard-earned tax money, but like I said, if there's any way that I think the board would be willing to, like I said, we really would like to, like you, and I know y'all would, let's get this thing done and over with. And let's just make a $10,000 fee to cover these other things and let's get it signed and move on.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Not that I don't want to get this thing done and put to bed or whatever, but you go to 3.2, go down to number 2, that date's already expired. So how can we vote on it if the expiration date is in there and it's expired? I think we're gonna have to send it back to be fixed. Am I correct, Mr. Attorney?
Well, Commissioner Rose, yes, sir. The board could make an amendment to that at this meeting, but it may be wise to send this back for further negotiations since there's so many, seems to be so many sticking points.
I mean, there's several places in there. Number 1 has got August 1st, 2025. Number 2 has August the 1st, 2025.
Right, and this was predicated on earlier hoping to have this done by July 1. So we were talking about these items in June. And Ms. Sharp was just informing me that we do have within the budget a contingency within solid waste that could potentially be used for a one-time allocation for some of these needs. But again, if you want to rework these items and the deadlines, that's your prerogative to send it back and let us do that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but our next meeting, this could be voted on, Mr. Chairman, because it's not a discussion meeting, correct?
Yeah. Why don't we send it back with an effective, the change at August 1st to September 1? And as far as a dollar amount, I'm not gonna specify a dollar amount, but I'm kind of inclined to go with Dr. Foster's line of thinking that we set a dollar amount to be used if the board so chooses, but not specify like $1,000 for gravel and $5,000 to reseal the concrete floors, a one-time allocation if the board wants to go that route. I don't think the board is real hip on the 5 and the 6,900 and the 1,000.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
can I make a motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, my motion is that we pay a one-time additional fee of $6,500, which is approximately 1/2 of what they're asking for. And then we put a cap of, say, $2,000 on veterinarian expenses. And everything else is as per the original budget.
Commissioner Smith, would you like to change the dates, the August 1st dates as well?
Well, if we give them a lump sum, the dates really don't make that much difference because they're going to take that money and do what's most important, what they have to get done for the inspection, whether it's a fence or whether it's something else. That way they can move on, in my opinion.
Can I ask a question?
Wait a minute, 1 minute. We got a motion on the floor. I need a second before we go anywhere else. Second.
Second.
Commissioner Ingram, second. Now discussion. Go ahead, Mr. Hope.
How long does this contract hold for?
This would be a 1-year contract.
Yeah, so calling it a one-time thing, would possibly not.
Would it be appropriate, and I don't know if this is for the manager or the attorney, to just strike that section 3(2)A and B completely? If we're talking about a lump sum amount,
That will be completely in the board's discretion.
would it be appropriate?
Yes, sir.
We can do
Yes, sir.
that.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Where we're not, like Mr. Smith, he made the motion $6,500 to let them use it as they see fit.
Correct.
But this all spells out certain dollar amounts for certain things. So if we're going to approve his contract, to me, that all needs to be stricken.
Yes, sir. So if I'm hearing you correctly and Commissioner Smith's motion correctly, then the intent would be to strike under 3.2, section A, B 1 through 5 and B 1 through 5.
Is that your
That's
intent? That is the intent from Commissioner Smith. Okay. All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve the APS.
And
letter C, my apologies.
And
item C under that, where it talks
letter
about
C.
maintenance staff assisting with occasional maintenance and repair.
To approve the APS contract by striking item 3.2, subsection A, subsection B 1 through 5, and subsection C, with a $6,500 one-time appropriation for maintenance and repair, and a $2,000 cap on veterinary expenses. Am I right, Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir.
And had a second by Commissioner Ingram. Now, discussion.
I'll just add to Commissioner Holt's question, a 1-year contract, but meant to be the basis of an ongoing contract for renewal next year. So we don't have to go through quite such a arduous process next time.
I remember last year in the budget, and it was a sore spot for several commissioners, so here we are. I mean, we pointed out again how much we're going up again.
We went up 51,000.
Almost 51 from 174, 125 to 225.
Yeah, that's how much the budget went up. I'm sorry, were you, Mr. Holt?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, no. Any more discussion? Have you got all this, Mr. County Attorney and Mr. Manager? Are we all on the same page?
Well, just one other clarification, since this was intended to be the term July 1 of 25 through June 30th of 26. It might be better to make that date effective today, and then when you do this next year, we can have it a full cycle, but with the understanding that for August, they would get their full allocation of that division of 225 for the month.
Effective date of today, if it passes. It'll be August 4th through June 30 of 26.
I think it would be cleaner if we did that through June the 30th and kept it on fiscal year. And we'll get back on track with a full 12 months next year, but just to clarify that in relation to the adoption date.
All right. Any more discussion? Not, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Stephan. Thank you, Dr. Foster.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. The 2026 Caswell Comprehensive Plan Proposal and Contract. Mr. Whitaker.
So in the current budget, there's an item related to land use plan. This was talked about during the budget workshops and during budget development, and 48,000 was budgeted specifically for a land use plan. And just to clarify that a little more, what is being proposed this evening is a major update to our 2014 comprehensive plan. Think of that comprehensive plan as a little broader document for really the guide of what the county says it wishes to be and how it wishes to develop. And then the land use component would be a separate new section. So it would be incorporated, that land use plan would be incorporated into this update of the 2014 plan. And this would be a deliverable that contained that. So one document that would be called the 2026 Caswell Comprehensive Plan that again would incorporate a land use component. I understand our planning director has spoken with each one of you and kind of talked through that, and I think everyone has the same understanding. So as far as the vendor, we are, of course, a member of government of Piedmont Triad Regional Council, PTRC, and one of the services that they provide to member governments is planning services. And they had originally provided a proposal, a cost estimate, which was the basis of the $48,000 budgeted item. And so what you have in your packet is a proposal that outlines all the proposed work, the public engagement component, and then the deliverables. And this is a large project that involves a steering committee that would need to be appointed. And that's a pretty robust committee to would need to be to represent what would be needed for such a plan. And what you have in the packet is a proposal from PTRC. And we've gone back and forth with them about some of the details, trying to specify exactly what this process would involve. And I have been through a very similar process with PTRC in another jurisdiction. So what you see just briefly in the proposal is on page 047 there in the top right-hand corner. There'd be a process of collecting, analyzing data, then public involvement, building consensus. We would have up to 6 steering committee meetings, 3 public meetings. That's to solicit feedback from the citizenry. And then we would be updating the comprehensive plan with maps. You would, as a board, have final review before adoption of that. And the proposal itself outlines that it would be a not to exceed amount of $48,000 to stay within that budgeted amount. And what you see is the actual timeline in this graph that shows in the proposal. And just like to open it up, and we do have our planning director here if you have any questions of either myself or him. And if you want to move forward with this, back to that contracting policy that was mentioned before, and given the dollar amount, Attorney Johnson would need to create a contract using that proposal that's in your packet as an exhibit. And then we need to come back to you with a steering committee slate of members for you to consider for that. And I'd like to tonight just introduce this topic. I did mention it at the last meeting, and with hopes of having the components ready for adoption or your consideration at the August 18th meeting. Go ahead to answer any questions.
Did PTRC do the last one in 14? Is that who did it?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
it's been a while since I was on the planning board. I just would like to know if a comprehensive plan land use policy, is this required with our current UDO?
I will say that a plan is required statutorily. This is through 160D. That was done several years ago. It was updated across the states, and part of that legislation requires such plans to be updated. I think the wording is in a reasonable amount of time. That's, I think, undefined and untested in the courts, Mr. Attorney. But in the planning field, 7 to 10 years is considered outdated after you get past that. And maybe our planning director can speak to what he thinks about that timeline. But it is time, is my point, to update that plan. And Jason, do you have anything to add to that time frame?
I mean, we definitely need it. I think if we start this fall, we'll be finished up by next year. It is suggested by the state for every county to have some type of comprehensive plan. It is a requirement if you have zoning.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Scott, just in layman's terms, how will this plan benefit the county?
So in terms, as our planning director just mentioned, if we did have countywide zoning, it's actually the basis, one of the regulatory documents of that. For Caswell, that's a little different. But if you think of it as a blueprint and as terms of our revived efforts with economic development, it's a key component to be able to go to that plan and really be able to communicate to businesses and also to citizens. Um, it, it is to communicate where we want to be, where we want to go and where we want to be. And for the planning board, I don't know how often you get decisions with the consistency statement that requires that, Jason?
Any amendments that we make throughout the UDO that are brought forward to you as a board, we do have to have a consistency statement in that, and that is required, suggested by state law, to basically provide to you the change that you are voting on, and how that stays consistent with our UDF state law.
And back, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I will add that, our county is in a vulnerable time now on how we want our county to look in 20, 30 years. And that's really something that most counties will do, and why they update every 10 years or so. Because things change, dynamics change within a county. Are we going to be residential forever? Residential going to be sustainable for our county? Is that going to be enough for our revenue, our tax base? Or are we going to need commercial? It's an economic development plan built in to a certain degree, but it also is going to look at recreation, education to a certain degree, transportation, tourism. Again, how do we want our county in 20 years?
And so when you look at some of those growth pressures around us that we've talked about recently, either whether that comes from our northern side or the southern side and more housing, what you have is, in terms of it as a practical document, is it's one of the first places those that wish to on the business side of things, if they wish to invest and look at Caswell County, they want to look at your development ordinance, but they want to look at your comprehensive plan, which should play nicely. Those are supporting documents. If you think of the comprehensive plan, it's more the guidebook, and the UDO, the development ordinance, is more the regulatory document. And by the same token, if you're a resident and you're looking to move here, it's one of the go-to documents that people that really start researching the area they want to go, whether that's business or residential, it's one of the go-to documents for them.
Yeah, we know economic development is a number one goal for me for Caswell County. So if that would assist, I can see where that would be beneficial.
Mr. Chairman, pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 160D-501, the statute states in part, as a condition of adopting and applying zoning regulations under this chapter, a local government shall adopt and reasonably maintain a comprehensive plan or land use plan. And as the county manager mentioned, that's for counties with zoning. And the statute further states that a local government may prepare and adopt other plans as deemed appropriate. So it isn't mandatory for Caswell County, but if the board chooses to move forward, you can certainly do so.
Any other questions for the county planner or the county manager? So you will have this, Russell, you gonna work on the contract?
Yes, sir. I received the proposal last week, and I should have a draft for the county manager for review by the end of the week.
Okay. This will come back before us at the 18th meeting.
On the 18th, with a slate of steering committee members for you to consider.
Okay. All right. All right, moving on to item 17, block safety license plate reader cameras.
So this was mentioned earlier in relation to the sheriff's fund and forfeiture money. So what this involves, this proposal that's attached, is 6 license plate reader cameras that would be installed in strategic places throughout the county to capture images of license plates, obviously. And this vendor, Flock Safety, is a single preferred vendor for this line of equipment, and they are really the owner of the national database that the sheriff's office would want to be a part of with this project. And this is a project that wasn't allocated in our budget, but there are DEA forfeiture funds available. So sheriff's office has proposed paying for that, and we'll get to this. It's broken down into 2 years, but with the forfeiture funds and also potentially, if awarded, with a JAG grant. But if that grant is not awarded to Caswell, there's still adequate DEA forfeiture funds available for it. And so the breakdown would be 21,900 for this fiscal year under this proposal, and 18,000 for next fiscal year, totaling 39,900. And a proposal and follow-up contract would need to be approved by the board if you move this item forward to consideration at the August 18th meeting, just because it's over the $25,000 amount. And I do believe Sheriff Durden is here in the back in case you have any questions specifically about those cameras or those forfeiture funds.
Questions? Mr. Blake?
Yeah, since this is a unilaterally owned company, what's in the national database? And
I believe our sheriff could probably answer more about this database. My understanding is it's the one you want to be a part of.
Database that everyone who has the flock cameras, that we can interface with them. I'll give you an example. We had a break-in in Ace. The van that broke into Ace, we found it in Norfolk through Flock, but we had to use someone else's Flock camera.
and say there's gonna be a follow-up contract?
Yes, sir.
That's all I have.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
This camera system, it's not only designed just for Caswell County, it links us up with nationwide, correct?
Correct. It links us up with everyone who has the Flock system.
Everybody who's on the Flock system.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sheriff, I know it says it would be 6 cameras that would be installed in strategic areas throughout the county.
Yes, sir.
Will those areas be made public, or is that something that Sheriff's Department will know and no one else?
Well, we'll keep it, we'll keep it, it's not top secret, but there's no need to tell everyone where's the Flock cameras, all right?
But if I'm not mistaken, that don't have to be put on private property.
Has to be put on private property, cannot be put on state property.
Really?
Yep, has to be private property. So basically what it is, the person has to agree to allow you to put it on his property.
They have to sign a waiver saying that we can put it on their property.
Yeah.
I would think and then they can tell us we have to move it if they don't want it there no more.
What, just out of curiosity, is it this big? Is it this big?
And I don't really, it's small, it's not that
Small.
big.
Okay, all right.
Danville has 21 of them.
So once it's installed, unless you, with it being small, unless you know it's there, you would never pay any attention to it. Right, okay. Okay. Just, you know, if you don't know, you ask questions. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
question, if you don't know the license plate number, has it been official?
But you don't really have to know the license plate number. All you need to know is the identification, the description of the car. You say a white Ford,
And a
what,
flag.
2001 Ford,
And a
driven
flag.
driven by a white male. And it'll pick it up. Now, it might be 500 of them it picks up, but it'll pick it up and then you have to go through them and try to figure it out. It's AI at the most.
Any other questions? This will be on the August 18th meeting as well.
Correct.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Okay, the hazard mitigation plan and resolution.
So this plan and draft has been in the making for some time. I was just recently made aware that the work had been done and the document was ready for the county's consideration. What you have electronically in the packet, for those of you accessing that way, is a link to this draft that is 1,570 pages long. So did not intend to print that for you. And so what you would see if you go to that draft is a document that deals with hazard mitigation generically in some places, but then very specifically, and specifically to Caswell County in Section 7 and Section 9. And so this plan has already been submitted to North Carolina Emergency Management. That review has been done and it's been sent to FEMA. And the existing plan that Caswell County is operating under is valid until September 30th. And the request is that this be adopted before then. And part of this adoption process is that it would make the county eligible for federal and state assistance if state of disaster is declared or for a hazard event affecting Caswell. And the items on the agenda for discussion and the request would be at the next meeting, August 18th, for adoption of the resolution that does that, and the resolution that memorializes this is attached in your plan.
Questions? If you, gentlemen, if you are so inclined, you can click on that link and go to that 1,570 page document and look it over. Is there any specific areas, Scott, that we should look at if we do that? I know you mentioned sections 7 and 9.
Those are sections that address Caswell specifics.
Okay.
And if you would like to review those, you can. But this is meant to be a plan that the state can operate with in these instances, with some specific areas for further guidance to the county.
Okay. All right, so we will be taking it up at our next meeting. All right, appointments, reappointments, Library Board, Gina Wallington. You should have that application, I'm thinking, in your packet.
Yes, so the packet contains the application, the roster that has a couple of holes where I've inherited that I need to finalize, and also the policy itself. So in relation to appointments, So this is the library committee, the library board is a board that has not had enough members to meet with a quorum and function recently. And just recently, Mr. Cliff Matkins was appointed, and you see on our roster, they would be setting a meeting schedule once they have enough members to move forward with a quorum. And I do need to track down when Ms. Broadwell was appointed sometime in the past, and also that with Commissioner Smith. Unless you know and can tell me.
No, I couldn't. But I was reading up, I'm thinking there's 5 members to be appointed to this board. You can verify that, but with Ms. Watlington going on, it'll be 3, so possibly we can
Correct.
start holding meetings.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
this is the board that the applications, the missing applications I referred to earlier are associated with.
You've lost me, Mr. Claggett, because we have the application for the,
Well, back in item 4,
yeah,
I made mention that
you did.
there were some missing applications for boards. This is the board that those missing applications are regarding.
Can you give me the names after this meeting?
I believe the applicant's name is Mr. Daryl Freeland. He's in the audience.
And I spoke with him, I believe it was this morning,
Okay,
and about being on the next agenda.
okay. I was unaware of that.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion to approve Gina Wallington's appointment to the library board?
So move.
Have a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Smith, second from Commissioner Ingram. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. All right, updates, Mr. Manager.
Yes, just a few items. Met with Mr. Mike Finley. He is a representative with Senator Tom Tillis's office. Met with him last week. He has provided some USDA resources if we need those in the future. He was a good connection to make. Also working with the school system to plan a joint meeting. We talked about this back during the budget workshops. A joint meeting between the Board of Commissioners and the school board. A lot of counties do that on a periodic basis, just to stay in touch with what's going on and plan so that it's easier come budget time. And also part of those conversations with the school board would be to talk through the process for handling their capital improvement projects that were budgeted this year that I know you're concerned about how that gets implemented. And then one other item is that I've approved participation in a pilot program for some software. This software is called Incidentally. It's a pilot program of the State Association of County Commissioners. And it is, while it's part of the pilot program, it's of no cost to the county. It's a newer software developed by a North Carolina company that really is all about reporting and processing claims, any kind of incidents, that's the name. So claims, injuries, workers' comp, theft, safety concerns, insurance claims, because what at least I've discovered in my 3 months here is that, and this is primarily by observing just the handling of claims. Sometimes we haven't done a great job of departments of getting information turned in and submitted to the right people. And it's sometimes just a tedious process tracking down the individual components that are necessary to file claims, for instance. And we had a demo. So myself, deputy manager, maintenance director had a demo and was very impressed with how this works. It's cloud-based. It can be used from a phone, from a desktop, and without going into too much detail about it, it's a way of just quickly capturing data. And I'll just give you, maybe this will help to give you a real quick example. We had a utility trailer stolen from Guilford Mills location not too long ago. Learned about it, I think the day of or the day before we had this demo, and asked for them to walk me through what that would have looked like. So instead of all of the individual pieces of information I was getting from emergency management, EMS, facilities, and the different people that were coming to tell me parts of that. It's the kind of system that would allow you to take a photograph of the location, assign it to coordinates on a map. An employee could have entered that data by phone, just by voice activation, or it could have been entered on a computer, but it really sends these reports and all this data and compiles it in one place where it's easy to generate reports, add to it, and push this information to whether that's, in this case, it was the insurance company, but or the sheriff's office to try to track down the VIN number and registration for that. So just a lot of different components that we thought it had a lot of potential. Again, it's a pilot program that the association suggested that we look into when we had our OSHA visits. This is something that would have helped us if we had it in place, for instance, with some safety concerns. If an employee sees a safety concern, they can report it quickly through this app. And it will take some training and implementation with department heads, but we feel like it has a lot of potential, and that it could help us be more organized with that kind of data. So glad to answer any questions about it, just with the caveat that I've only had one demo. But that's all I have on that, unless you have questions.
Right.
And that's all I have on my report.
Okay, Mr. Attorney.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, two new tax foreclosure actions. One action entitled Caswell County versus the heirs of Kenneth F. Fee. This property is located at 49 Woodwinds Drive in Pelham. The other property is entitled an action Caswell County versus Bruce Solomon and others. And this property is located at 4915 Highway 57 North in Samora. And we are scheduled to have a hearing in front of the district court judge on this action on August 25th. And moving from there, we should be able to proceed with the sale. I'll keep the board updated, and I have further updates in the closed session.
Commissioner updates. Mr. Holt?
No, sir.
Mr. Todd?
Nope.
Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir. Scott, can you provide somewhat of an update to the progress you're making filling the current management vacancies? Directors?
Any specific or just the key ones?
We've advertised,
So-
making any progress, getting people in, or?
Yes, so so we did have our new HR director who started last week. Glad to have her here. She's off and running and already a big asset. I know that for the CATS director position, someone has been hired and will be starting,
That's good.
I believe, next week after our deputy clerk and CATS director is back from vacation. And so that will free up some capacity there. For the finance officer position, we have a lot of applicants and they have been looked at initially and in our spreadsheet of who we want to interview and talk with. And then the other key open positions, I know that there's a finance position, another finance position that there have been some interviews. I know then we'll be advertising for the HR specialist position and for the deputy clerk position.
Okay, how about as far as the emergency management position, are we still considering what to do there? Options still open or?
So right now, what we announced with that interim appointment was that we would be advertising that both internally and externally. And so far, in the interim position, that's working really well. I know they are doing some key inventorying of what we have equipment wise, which is needed. And so as far as the potential division of emergency management as a separate entity, have not made any decisions to bring forward to you about that or any recommendations rather. And just still trying to work through inventory and then some of their challenges, making sure that they are where they need to be in the short term.
So would those decisions be brought before the board prior to making a final determination?
As big a deal as that is, and as much as I've heard you communicate about concerns about new money for positions, I will be bringing that forward. Yes.
Commissioner Rose?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to thank everybody for coming out tonight, the ones that's been watching online. And I would like to welcome Ms. Crystal. I think her last name is Stauffer,
Yes.
new HR director. Got some emails from her, have not had the chance to get by and personally to see her, but I will do that this week, and I just would like to welcome her to the county. Thank you.
Commissioner Ingram?
Nothing, sir.
Commissioner
I don't
Blake?
have anything.
All right. Upcoming events. August the 5th, 5 to 9, National Night Out at Parks and Rec. August the 7th, 14th, 21st, and 28th, the Farmers Market here in Yanceyville. August the 16th, it's Kids Fishing and Fun Day at Farmer Lake. The 18th will be our next scheduled meeting here at 6:30. Board of Adjustment on the 19th. Back to School Bash at Fire Tower Road on the 19th as well.
That's what's on the calendar. We may have it wrong on the calendar. I took it from there.
All right. The August the 20th, community lunch at Code Square, the 21st, joint meeting between Caswell, Yanceyville, and Milton. I believe you've got Code Square. I'm thinking that one's at the municipal building.
Yes, it is.
And that was a mistake. I requested that be updated today. And
Okay. Now, before we go, you say you could be there on the 21st joint meeting?
Yeah.
Because I know part of our board is going to be gone.
I can be there.
Anybody else available that wants to attend or can attend? If you do, let the county manager know. 26th planning board meeting at the library. Closed session to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege as provided under North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 subsection A3. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We now sit in closed session.